If the pursuit of happiness were a race, you might be surprised whose ideology is in the lead. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. Well, men, Arthur C. Brooks, the president of the American Enterprise Institute, follows President Obama's lead, restoring science to its proper place in the New York Times this week. And the data show that a lot more conservatives than liberals, 68% more, report being very happy. Now, Stephen Green, conservatives are portrayed in the media as angry, bitter clingers, if you will. Liberals as compassionate, placid souls. These data contradict that. How do you think this scientific revelation ripped from the headlines of the New York Times will affect the tone of the Gray Lady's editorial coverage going forward?
Well, when was the last time any New York Times editorial was affected by data? That's just a silly question. Look, the New York Times, they print what they think fits, and that's that. More seriously, though, you know, the progressive argument against this is going to be, and you see this all the time, well, they're not really happy, they just think they're happy. I hear this from progressives all the time, and that will be the way they combat this. They know better what is going on in your heart and your brain and your soul than you do. That's why they get to run your life. That's what makes them happy. Well, sort of.
You're too stupid to know that you're miserable. Bill Whittle, assuming this isn't just, as Steve indicated, the liberals think, more right-wing spin, why do you think conservatives would be happier than liberals?
It's an utter mystery. Might have something to do with fast cars and hot women and big loud guns, giant explosions, endless reserves of virtually cheap energy lying underneath our feet, freedom, prosperity, security, power, strength, handsomeness, beauty, romance, all of those awesome things that make life worth living. A giant, vast, untapped frontier of potentialities and possibilities sitting at our feet, just waiting for us to open the door and walk out and grab it. The world is our oyster and everything is awesome. This contrasts somewhat with the view of the world as a terrible, horrible place upon which we are a cancer, where the world will be a much better place if only humanity would die off and we all live in maybe 50,000 humans sitting around in grass huts eating our sustainable peat moss and burning, cow patties for fire. It's not a hard contrast, really, when you get right down to it. And so I'm just awful happy to be on the good guy team, and if I was on the bad guy team, I would have moved. I kind of did, actually, in a weird sort of way. That's in a nutshell.
By the way, I think the Obama administration has also shut down the cow pie pipeline. That's not going to happen either. Not only are conservatives,
not only are conservatives
happier than liberals,
that pipeline way open. Sorry.
But the extremists on either end of the spectrum are actually happier than the moderates. 48% of extremely conservative people report being very happy, along with 35% of extremely liberal people. At the bottom of the curve, only 26% of moderate people are living it and loving it. Steve, whatever happened to the happy medium?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I think sustainable peat moss would make an excellent name for an emo band.
Thank you very much.
The whole moderate, happy middle thing, I don't think that really exists. Look, whether you're extremely conservative or extremely liberal, you believe in something. You believe in something very strongly. That's what that means, to be extremely something. You have an ideology. You have a foundation. I don't think you can be happy just drifting around in the middle. I think you need a solid set of beliefs. You need an ideology. That's not a bad word, ideology, in order to have a foundation on which to build happiness. If you're just muddling around in the middle, well, you're just muddling around.
Well, Bill, I've noticed that two phrases in the English language can unleash equally powerful righteous rage. Number one is, well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. And number two is Hulk, smash. Now, do you, Bill Whittle, find yourself among the very happy conservative extremists, or are you somewhere else?
Well, first of all, I just have to add something to your previous question, Steve, about my moderates are polling so poorly here. It reminds me of my favorite episode of one of my favorite shows, Futurama, where they invade the planet of the neutrals, and the commander of the neutral planet says, "I'm declaring a beige alert. If anything happens to me, tell my wife I said hello." So yeah, of course it's better to have fun believing in something. And, I don't know, Scotty, it's a hard time to be a conservative in this country when you watch everything that you hold dear being destroyed, and it makes you angry, and it doesn't fill you with hate. It just fills you with the kind of righteous anger you're supposed to be filled with. That's the appropriate response to watching something you love being destroyed, and that's how you go out and fix it. With that said, when I hang out with, I get to hang out with a lot of liberals here in LA. I know a lot of actors who are conservative in LA. It's a small minority. But I know a lot of people who've moved to LA, and they always find that once they come to California and they meet their conservative actor friends, they're just much better people. They walk girls out to the car, ladies out to the car, go out drinking for a night, and then it's time to go home, and conservatives will walk them to their cars, and they'll open doors for them, and they'll be nicer, and they'll show up when they say they will, and they're just more fun. They're just better people. And I see this anecdotally all over the place. And, I don't mean to go real far with this, but one example we just saw last day or two was Brad Pitt's mom came out and wrote an article saying she doesn't support Obama, she supports Romney. She's getting death threats. I mean, she's getting death threats. She's being called the most vicious, vile names in the world. And I hope it sinks into Brad Pitt, who does a lot of liberal causes. This is what happens when your people have somebody who disagrees with them. Of course it's better to be a conservative. If it wasn't, we'd be liberals.
Well, correlation is not causation. In other words, conservatism probably doesn't make you happy. It's more likely that happy people gravitate toward freedom to choose one's path in life. They see bright horizons, greener pastures, endless, exciting territory yet to be explored. Life is an adventure to be lived with passion. Failure is called learning or preparation for victory. The happiest of all are drawn to what's called extreme conservatism, so-called only by those in the middle or on the left. These people operate, as Steve suggested, from a foundation of not certainty, but carefully contemplated confidence. They've found principles that work, reliable navigation equipment which stands the test through storm-tossed seas. And one more thing, happy people don't always smile. Like a boy pushing a toy bulldozer through a dirt pile, they can wear a mask of stoic determination while caught up in a story of epic meaning. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV, I'm Scott Ott.